So we are with Kasia Fudakowski, who produced an incredible work for the show. She's one of the few artists who knew the theme of the room in which you would be included, and you proposed that incredible kind of passage work. Um, how was it to think of a work on the show? You had ideas of who would be in, but not so much.
Well, I'm so happy to find Lee Lozano in this room and Tetsumi Kudo. I'm like, it's a dream come true. But it's nice to be put in the sex room, but not quite in, right? Because it's in the entrance.
Order, yeah.
Yeah. And so it works really well as, sexual experience as a rite of passage to enter into a different space or exit a different space. So this was really interesting to me to think about how to enter that space.
We put it, the people can come in this way, but we put it more on the way to be out. It's one of the quite packed room, but it's also, and when I discovered your work, you did a show also linked with Lee Lozano at your gallery in Berlin, which I was very surprised by, and I really loved. But in I dare to speak with my co-curators, which are Thomas Auseago and Muna Fituri. Sex is part of our life. Sex is part of the history of art anyway. So we wanted to challenge that question in a more direct way. And that's how we proposed you, and I was the one to make the translation, to produce that work, which there is element of church, it's in wood, there's a lot of layers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's importantly very open, I think, this work. But it's got a very, it hits a lot of points, I think, for people. And this kind of psychosexual carving in the two sides. And I imagine that people would put their hand on it by mistake. And then be like, oh no, it's a penis. Oh, is it a penis? No, it's a vulva. And this feeling that you often get with that kind of church architecture, just yep. This crazy repressed sexuality and everything.
But there's something joyful also in that, in the process and with the body to going through, because you have different kind of elements. There's something joyful, even if it's quite a direct subject in the whole room. We did a discussion with Ellen Mulworth, Thomas, and Muna together, and she was caricaturing all of us because there's a lot of penis and not so much woman sex in the room. And at the end we said, well, this is the world as it is. We're still quite patriarchal. So I don't know what's your point of view.
Well, I mean, the penis is acting, or the phallus is acting as a barrier in this work. And also there's the physical experience of going through it. You get hit in the ass when you've gone through, because it has this swoosh. So it's supposed to be a very aggressive nature, but also the vulva is there in the side, as the kind of guarding the two sides of the piece which you enter through. So it's present. But when I did the exhibition that you saw at the gallery, I also had penis, testicles, and breasts. Yeah. Because the vulva is not as funny. I think that's it hasn't reached the kind of humor level. But that's a lot to do with power. I think it's a very interesting. Yeah.
And we included in that room a poster by Body Export called Genital Panic, which was a performance she did with a gun entering a movie theater and having cut her pants to show her pubis, her sex, because we wanted to make a distance and also a kind of waking up kind of call with the roles, as well as we included some very old sculpturing. So the set, it's a question since ever, which was never defined or never closed. So for the people not to see it in such an immediate meaning, which I think maybe it's surprising for the public, but I think it's important that you see and in the work of Lilo Zano and Kudo, they speak a lot about power and dependency.
Yeah. I think the whole balance between power, sex, and humor, and humor is also Lila Zano, which is why I love her so much. It's because she really uses a lot of wordplay in her works and visual jokes.
Yeah.
And I think that's an ultimate power position. The kind of the feminist position to be able to laugh is the kind of the last card in the game.
Was people like Lilo Zano, I know, but some other woman artists important for your grow up
I was
journey?
talking about this with someone else, and everybody said Louise Bourgeois. I mean, she's,
Yeah.
of course, the one. And then when you ask me, all the names fly out of my head, of course.
No, but that doesn't matter. It was just because we included Alina Shaposhnikov, which is the first woman or even artist who used her own body to make part of the sculptures. And Vani, which is also a very, very determined position in terms of a woman's position. She had to define her name, so it's something which was quite strong as a gesture. And it's not the same question today, but she's the first who did a woman exhibition in 1972 by the Export. No, Alina, she's being recognized now, but during her lifetime, it was not at all. At all.
Yeah, I only became aware of her maybe 5-6 years ago, actually.
Yeah, because it was I think she was in the Documenta 8 years ago, or
oh no, it must be 10 years ago now. Yeah.
Or 12 years ago. I think it's 3 Documentas away. So the people start to look at her again with those chewing gum photographs, which are incredible.
I used to be with the Polish gallery, and they said they were trying to get me in this direction. Yeah.
No, that's and one question, because we recreate a kind of studio in the center of the Punta to be a bit of a thinking space for the public, as well as speak about that in-between space that a studio could be for an artist. So to know if the studio is important for you, because I know you produced that the work for the show in Istanbul, so not in your usual day life space.
Yeah, this was the first time that I worked really just from drawings and then collaborated with these craftsmen in Istanbul.
Okay.
They did, which was quite funny, revealing the drawings for this work, and I expected them to have some problem with it, but actually they were like, come on. But this time actually, like in lockdown, has been amazing, because without kind of strict deadlines, just to be able to be in the studio and experiment again is amazing. And I've just because I was just fixing a work, but these are these woodcuts that I've been doing.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's very, each letter has been cut out by hand with woodworking. So I just spent very intense 2 weeks carving. And and you just like, if you have the material in your hands, of course you have a different relationship. So watching the craftsmen make these pieces in Istanbul is exciting, because you can do something that you wouldn't be able to do, but I always need to have my hands on something.
Because what was impressive in that first exhibition I saw of yours, it's also the way the hand was there, made everything.
Yeah.
So you need a very a time with hands.
Yeah, and I think I could only make that piece in Istanbul because I had already made those carved wood pieces before. So I know, and it was brilliant talking to people in Turkey, because without any language, if you understand the material, you can talk to somebody who knows the material. So we had this amazing discussion without words about, how to sand things, what the kind of shape, what the definition would be. Yeah, it's universal.